Hey guys, welcome back to Ripestories. Imagine paying for a quiet rural dream home, but then a total stranger just moves in on your land. He is now shouting about being a sovereign citizen, declaring your backyard an independent state, and refusing to leave. No matter what you say, he digs in deeper. Let's dive right into this Reddit story video. So I own a beautiful rural property, the place had a clear deed and land survey, I received all of that info when I purchased it. I had spent years living in the city surrounded by noise and pollution, and so when my office decided to save money by switching to a different model and having everyone work remotely, I saw this as a great opportunity to move out of my small apartment and get myself a place that really felt like mine. I'd been saving up for years for an opportunity just like this one. In the beginning, things went along fine. I found myself taking my morning coffee break on my front porch or getting a lot of my work in early in the morning so that I would have my afternoons free to do some landscaping. One time I went on a long camping trip with a friend, and when I came back I found a strange man building a cabin in my backyard. I nervously approached the man. "Hello," I said. "What are you doing on my property?" "What does it look like I'm doing?" asked the man. "Well, trespassing, I guess." "I'm a sovereign citizen," said the man. "I've every right to be here." No you don't. This country has specific laws when it comes to land ownership. I paid for this piece of property. You cannot be here and I don't want you putting up a cabin there. Not only is it not your home, but I also don't want a stranger living in my yard." "It doesn't matter what you want," said the man. "That's the problem with the government, always claiming to have so many rules, but that's all fake and none of it means anything. So like it or not, we're gonna be neighbors." "Please leave," I said. "I don't want you here." I did not feel safe having this man that I had never seen before and knew nothing about building a cabin that he planned to call home in my yard. "This is an independent state now," said the man. "It will be my home. It's too bad if you don't like it." I tried to talk to the man, but he just got angry, refusing to leave, and he had a hammer in his hands. I thought he might want to use it on more than a piece of wood to build his cabin. He then got out some documents, and they talked about the independent state and the ability to claim land anywhere at certain addresses, including mine. The documents made it seem like the land had an open claim on it. "Can I make a copy of these papers?" I asked. "What do you need to do that for?" asked the man in a loud, angry voice. "I would like to show them to the authorities," I said, trying to keep my voice from cracking with fear. "No need for a photocopy," said the man. "You're just gonna pay someone to tell me they are not real, or worse, you will lose them the minute you get your grimy hands on them. It happens too often that people don't respect our sovereign citizens. I'm not gonna let you look down on me and treat me like I'm nothing but scum. I might be a poor man, but I'm finally gonna have my own place right here." I wasn't sure what I should do next. I obviously could not live my life with a stranger camping out on my land, especially one that I didn't even know, if he might cause me harm. And I knew if one cabin went up and I somehow allowed this, that it would likely not be long before others having papers like this man would claim the same thing about my land being an independent state where they could live for free. I then got into my car and drove to the police station. I told the desk officer that I needed to speak to someone about a situation dealing with an irate man who claimed to be a sovereign citizen and that I didn't know how dangerous the man might be. I mean, I'm a single woman living by myself without even a guard dog to protect me, and I don't have an alarm system or anything like that even. And yeah guys, by the way, if you would be in the same situation as OP, what would you have done in this situation? Let me know in the comments, and while you're at it, please don't forget to like the video because that would help me tremendously. Anyway, in the months that I've lived on my rural property, I'd never felt that I needed more security until the arrival of this man and his building tools. I wondered if it was a coincidence or not that he had started building on my land while I was away. Or maybe if he would have started anyways even if I would have been home, and that it was just with my trip that he'd been able to build more without me knowing and being able to deal with the situation in advance. "We are going to head on over there," said the officer. "You can follow us to your place and stay parked across the street." "The man might be dangerous," I said. "He just kept repeating things." "Well, that's why you're gonna stay a safe distance away, and I'm going to take my partner out there with me and have backup on standby if we need it." "The man cannot really live on my property, can he?" I asked. "And why would my address be on the paperwork that he has?" "Well, he has no legal claim to it," said the officer. "Our country doesn't work with principles of state land. There's a group of people here who proclaim themselves as sovereign citizen and believe heavily in it. This is not the first time that we've been called to deal with situations relating to these citizens. You have nothing to worry about, ma'am. Everything is gonna be alright." I then followed the officers back to my house. Even though I knew that I would be safe and that the officers were skilled in resolving issues, I couldn't help but be actually afraid of the outcome. The man had seemed a bit unstable when I'd spoken to him, and he hadn't been willing to discuss the situation and had become irate with me. I'd hoped that it might have been able to be resolved without having to call in the police, but well, that hadn't happened. I knew that I shouldn't feel guilty. I mean, the man had brought this situation upon himself by not speaking with me. We were both adults and should have been able to solve our problems, but hadn't been able to. I stayed in my car when I reached the property. I was able to confirm to the officers about the camp that had been set up behind my house. I could not believe the audacity of this man. While I'd been gone, he had gotten out a cooking stove and was making himself something to eat. I could smell the scent of fish cooking in the air and see the smoke. The officers approached the man and said, "Sir, you cannot be here," said one. "I would like you to dismantle your cabin, pack up your gear, and leave the property and not come back." "I'm a sovereign citizen and I have every right to be here," said the man. "I'm sorry, sir, but this is private land. You cannot stay here. There are shelters and places that can help you if you cannot afford a place of your own." "I don't want to stay in a shelter," said the man. "I'm a sovereign citizen and this is independent land. That's what's wrong with all you government men. You're always trying to take from good, hardworking people." "Sir, there are laws that have to be upheld, and you're breaking many of them right now. If you will dismantle your cabin and camp and move along, we can see fit to not take the situation any further. But the outcome is up to you." "You have no jurisdiction here," said the man. "I don't have to listen to your demands. I'm busy. Just go and leave me alone." "Sir, we cannot do that," said the officer. "You're trespassing and you're making the proprietor of the home feel very nervous about you being here. This is not your land and we cannot allow you to stay here. You must move along." "I will not," said the man. He pulled out the documents that he had shown me earlier in the day and tried to argue with the officers about his rights. And by the way, guys, let me know in the comments, what do you think is worse, squatters or sovereign citizens? I would say it seems like they are pretty similar, so I'm not exactly sure which one is worse. "Anyway, sir, I don't know if you made these yourself or if someone else created them," said the officer, "but they are fraudulent documents. This is not how land ownership works in our country. We are sorry if someone misled you or if you've been given the wrong facts about land ownership, but you have to leave." "This is my home now," said the man. "I will not be chased off my land again by you or anyone. Prepare to fight if you will not leave me be." "This is your last warning, sir," said the officer. "If you will not comply with our demands, which we are legally permitted to carry out regardless of what you believe or what your paperwork says, we will have no choice but to arrest you." "You have no authority," said the man. He continued repeating that he was a sovereign citizen and tried to throw something at the officers, but they grabbed him, pushed him to the ground and then handcuffed him. They took him to the squad car and put him in the back seat. Then one of the officers came over to speak to me. "We're gonna call someone from the city to pick up the man's belongings, dismantle his cabin and clean up this place. For now, I'm going to go back and put out his campfire to ensure that it will not get out of hand and put you or your property in danger." "Thank you," I said. "I hope that you did the right thing." "You did, ma'am," said the officer. We have no way of knowing what the man was thinking. The fact that he became aggressive with police shows us that he's not completely in control of his faculties at this time. A while later, my life was able to go back to normal as the back of my property had been cleaned up. I learned that the man faced charges of trespassing, disorderly conduct and resisting arrest. The man would not give up on his beliefs even when he was in front of a judge, and this later ended up to him having to be jailed because the courts felt that he was a risk to society. The man's beliefs on sovereign claims had been worthless in the face of real authority and had led to his demise in the end. And well, now, instead of living free, he was forced to be behind bars. I hope that perhaps in time the man could get some psychiatric help and be able to be released and find a way to live a life that was within the legal norms. I knew that I had a nice property, but allowing a stranger to build whatever he wanted on it would only have led to trouble, and I had no idea what else the man might be capable of. And I could imagine if one built up on the property that others might follow suit, creating complete anarchy. And the next one is a really good petty revenge story, which is titled "Children Were Playing Let's Dump All Our Crap Over the Fence" for years. So I joined them and won. So I've lived in my neighborhood for 6 years. I run daily and walk the dog daily when it's not minus 45 degrees outside, but since it's a newer area, there are not many paths. So I take basically the same sidewalks every single day. About 4 years ago, I noticed there'd always been a pile of crap on the sidewalk behind the specific home. We are talking a basketball, pair of shoes, half of some plastic toy, an umbrella, etc. Really random groupings of everyday life detritus always on the sidewalk, always behind this house. I have a short dog, and also I'm aware enough of the world that I know this stuff can affect, say, a mother with a stroller or someone in a wheelchair trying to navigate around it, so when I would come across it, I would always move it onto the grass because I didn't really know where it was coming from. Eventually, I would see it get reported as litter on our local complaints app, and the city would clean it up, and that was that. Once or twice I took a garbage bag myself and threw it out, and yeah, this happened for years. I had to make a Facebook account for a job I took and idly decided to join my local neighborhood Facebook group. Scrolling back to read the drama, I came across a complaint about that house. Someone commented, "Try being their neighbor, it's like living by a dump." By scouring the comment, I found out these kids just do this constantly, the parents don't even care and have been talked to by the city and the neighbors, and the color of the house of the culprits confirming which house it was. The kids just thought this was fun. So I decided, why not just throw everything back in? I began doing this in 2021. A shoe, back in their yard, Gatorade bottle, yard, dog poop bag, back into the yard. One time even a whole Barbie was out there. I picked it up and chucked it. See, the kids were never out when I was out, so no one really saw me throw it back in. One time we threw the same shoe back, and for 6 times, 6 runs I saw that damn glitter Velcro shoe. 6 times I tossed it back over the fence. This whole thing baffled me because I cannot imagine the parents understood where all their crap was going. I saw a whole raincoat, big toys, adult sneakers. It's like these children were taking stuff from the house to do this. It always slowed down in the winter, but once the snow melted, it came back. One day I went for my run and one of those plastic tricycles was there. Something in me snapped. I moved it to the side and left it there. I ignored it for a few days, but then I went for a walk with my dog, and I heard the kids in the yard. I picked that sucker up, stepped far back, and with all my might wailed that into their yard. I heard a shriek and the sound of breaking, and then silence. Then I walked up to the fence and said, "I better not see any of your garbage on this sidewalk ever again," and then kept walking with my dog, because I mean really, what were the kids gonna do? The fence was higher than they were, it was not gated nor close to a walking path, so if they wanted to see me they would have to go down 6 houses to come out to the path I was on, and their parents clearly did not give a damn. This was in fall 2022. I'm happy to report I haven't seen a single piece of garbage behind their house since, and yes, they still live there. Their artwork is still proudly displayed in the windows. The next one is an absolutely amazing malicious compliance story that you don't want to miss. It is hilarious. It's titled, "Before There Was Karen, There Was Shirley." So I once had a project manager named Shirley and a coworker named Alex. I was a computer programmer. Every morning we, along with half a dozen other people, had a 5-minute long meeting to discuss our progress and give people a chance to ask each other stuff. The boss was away on a 2-week vacation, and while he was away the meetings were slightly more important, so we could coordinate ourselves without him to do it. Right before the meeting, I had come to a roadblock because I could remember what something in the programming was called. I just needed an actual word and I could continue, and I knew Alex would know it. At the meeting, Alex did his thing, a few other people talked, and then it was my turn. I explained what I had done yesterday and what I was working on and said, "Hey Alex, do you remember?" At this point Shirley interrupted and threw a screaming fit at me. How dare I try to have a discussion with someone without her? I pointed out that she was standing right there, and she demanded to know how dare I talk to someone without it being a scheduled meeting in the conference room, in her presence. I pointed out that this was a scheduled meeting, we were in the conference room and we were in her presence. How dare I presume to ask anyone anything without notifying her in advance that I would be doing so? I tried to explain that it was only a very brief question, and she flipped out that how dare I try to talk back to her about this. So having gotten an idea, I asked when we could have this meeting, and she said 3 p.m. I knew damn well that she had nothing to do before then, she just wanted to have something she could feel smug about. It was 9:34 a.m. at the time. She ordered that I was not to discuss it with anyone before the meeting, and I was not to proceed on the task without it, or I'd just be proving it wasn't actually important and I was wasting anyone's time. The meeting ended and we left. Alex worked about 10 feet away from me, so I could have just walked over and asked him, but I didn't. He sent me an instant message to know if I wanted to ask him whatever while she couldn't hear, and I replied that no, she wanted to be rude about it so she could reap the rewards of her actions. Alex and I had lunch every day, but I declined to talk about it. He knew I was up to something. At 3 p.m. he and I went into the conference room. Well, 10 minutes later she swaned in, closed the door, sat down, opened her notebook, uncapped her pen, and wrote down the date and time and who was there, and told me I was now authorized to proceed. Hey Alex, do you remember last week when we did the task you used a thingy that did this thing? What was it called? He told me, great thanks, and he and I both turned to leave. It had taken off all about 20 seconds and Shirley flew into a rage. I was deliberately making a mockery of her by scheduling a meeting for something that would take 20 seconds. As I left the room I said, Shirley, I warned you that this was a 1-minute exchange, but you insisted on a meeting. Well, she didn't speak to me for the rest of the day. I made sure that my timesheet reflected that I spent 9:35 to 3 p.m. doing nothing and waiting for Shirley. A day or two later, she flew into a rage at me again, and the entire staff was so enraged that they told me they were quitting and asked me to join. I asked him to wait a couple days, called my boss and told him, and on the next business day I found he had returned early from his vacation and fired her. Update: random factoid, over a year later Alex and I both moved on to another company, the same one, and when we arrived we found that Shirley was already there. We both went to the boss and told him that under no circumstances were either of us ever willing to have a meeting with her without him. He told us she was already not in good favor, but he'd make sure not to allow it to happen. Well, actually, he went to the CEO and told him that under no circumstances would anyone from the whole department meet with her ever. I saw her power walk around the corner to meet with someone down the hall, see me, turn around and power walk back to the other direction. She walked the long way around the office to come out on the other end of the hallway so she could go into her meeting without passing me. She took the long way every day for a few weeks. Then came the day that she threw a screaming fit that could be heard across the office, stormed out, and was never seen again. The secretary, knowing I had worked with her before, asked me if I knew what her home address was so that he could mail her things from her office, which she hadn't bothered to take, to her home. I didn't and suggested that he ask HR. He couldn't be bothered, I think she had pissed him off too, and a year later they were still in a box ready to be sent to her. I think they got thrown out. And here, Ripestars, if you ever work somewhere, don't be like Shirley. Anyway, the next one is titled, I had to break up with my SO because of his insane family. So I don't think I can marry him because of his family. I know people will say that I'm crazy, but my gut tells me that I am right. So this was supposed to be the first time I'm meeting his parents. He has 2 sisters, mom and dad, and I was excited to meet my future in-laws. However, it shattered. Few days ago, I met his family. Some things about them just didn't sit right with me. His mom is very possessive about him, like the first thing she said when she saw me was, so you're the lady that keeps my son busy. I know it sounds like a joke, but she said it in a condescending tone. Throughout the entire gathering, she was trying to avoid me. She would get irritated whenever I got closer to my fiancé. She made one very mean comment when I asked her for a piece of pie that she made. She said I'll not be able to fit in my dress if I eat any more of it. She deliberately made me sit far away from him so that she could sit beside him. I knew she did not like me, but I tolerated that. However, she was way too harsh on her oldest daughter. She keeps making comments like, when you're getting married and if she still cannot get over Ben, her brother-in-law. The thing is, Mia, the oldest daughter, used to date Ben until he dumped her to be with the younger sister Jen. Jen is not very nice either. She was mean to Mia and kept bugging her to get a husband. Mia is 33, I don't think she needs to rush. Jen also didn't like me because she made some snide remarks about my upbringing. I grew up in an abusive household, I had to struggle a lot, whereas my fiancé came from a well-to-do family. His dad did not speak much, he did not say anything and just nodded. The only normal person there was Mia because she just kept to herself, but nonetheless, I did not feel very welcome by them. I just had this gut feeling that if I get married, this will be my whole life. I would always have to be in competition with his mother, but he is so nice and sweet. I never felt so in love with anyone like I did with him. He brings me flowers, he takes care of me, he treats me like a queen. However, I don't like his family at all. I broke it off with him, he was understandably sad and he asked for a reason. I just told him I did not feel good about our relationship, that we are not compatible. There were tears, but I left. Now I'm sitting in my aunt's house writing this. One moment I felt like calling him and telling him I had cold feet, that we are perfect together. We earn well, we have similar hobbies, and we are sexually compatible, but this one thing about him just bugs me a lot. I'm heartbroken, I don't deserve to be because I was the one who called it off. Update to the story, I just talked to his sister Mia on the phone. It was a surprise to me that she wanted to talk and she got the news of us breaking up and asked if we could talk on the phone. I agreed, I was desperate to hear any news from him. We talked for like an hour or so. It was mostly her telling me how her family was toxic, that I made the right decision because her mom had a weird obsession obsession with her baby boy. Also, she does not know why she is the black sheep of her family. She was not adopted, nor was she an affair child, and she also mentioned her mother was a bit of a racist because of where I came from. Overall, that day she wanted to warn me. I asked why my ex doesn't treat her right. She said my ex is in delusion that they have a picture-perfect home, but he doesn't realize how toxic his mom is. She did bring it up with him, and he just said that they are family, so families should not hold grudges. Honestly, I felt bad for her. She also said she'll be going no contact with her family. She thought she could salvage their relationship and let them be a part of her life, but she decided she doesn't want that. Also, she shared some personal info about her relationship status and future, but I don't want to share that here. It's not my place to share it, but she told me to meet him and tell him the truth. He deserves to know why I don't want to be part of his family. He needs to hear the truth, and I'll be meeting him tomorrow. And yeah, as a lot of you guys requested, I will give another update. Now we got another update and it reads, I tried to update but it got removed, so to those who may it concern. I told him everything that I mentioned in the post and also about my feelings for his family, especially how they had treated Mia. Needless to say, he was upset and he tried to convince me that this is all in my head, that I shouldn't throw away our relationship because of his family will accept me if I become a part of it. I tried to explain things from my own perspective, but he was not budging. Then the topic of Mia came. He said it's unfair that even his sister is abandoning the family. He mentioned Mia's big news and she said she doesn't want to be a part of their family. I told him I knew about it because I talked to Mia. That seemed to upset him even more. He was pissed that Mia shared her news to me before his family. I got angry and told him this is exactly why I don't want to be a part of his family. Her mother made racist comments to me. I am half Bengali. His mom treated me like an outsider and did not make me feel welcome. His family is super toxic. I grew up in a toxic family too, and I don't want to die in one. Maybe someday he will find a woman his mother approves of, but that woman is not me. We had a big fight and he was obviously defending his family. He was not willing to listen to what I had to say. Overall, he was very dismissive. We ended the conversation in a very bad note. I'm sad about it. Aside from his family drama, he was a good guy. I don't think I can handle his family though, because you don't just marry one person, you marry their entire family, and they did not even bother to know me at all. So that's the update. And here, Ripestories, let me know what you think about this in the comments. I would say OP certainly dodged a bullet, and she is not completely wrong with what she said in the end. I hope OP finds a more suitable relationship in the future, and I hope that in that relationship the family will accept her as well. And the next one is a petty revenge story which is titled, I'm a Grinch and I'm not sorry. So a little background, my son Colton, 29, and the mother, Anna, 28, of his daughter Crystal, 5, split several years ago and she now has a new boyfriend called David and a newborn baby boy. My husband, 55 male, and I, 49 female, try very hard to include them in various family plans. Recently, we had all discussed going to a holiday event at the local petting zoo, but it was a nighttime event with lights, small slides pulled by mini horses, Christmas caroling and various other entertainment, plus a chuck wagon style dinner. My husband offered to pay for everyone. A few days before the event, he found VIP tickets to the event at a good price, so he bought them. Kids gone in for free. We had planned on all arriving in separate vehicles, so my husband arranged for everyone's tickets to be waiting at the gate. The original plan was to go to the event, then my granddaughter would stay with her dad at night and me during the day until Christmas. Anna calls me 2 hours before the event and tells me she discussed things with David's mom, and his mom wanted it to just be family for the event, and we could take our granddaughter from the 26th to the 1st. She went on to tell me they had further discussed things and they didn't want Crystal to get tons of toys. They would only allow clothes, jewelry, and if it was a toy, she wanted American Girl stuff. My granddaughter had asked me for ice skates, a robot dinosaur, and some art stuff. She had never mentioned American Girl stuff at all to me or my husband and son. So yeah, obviously I was pretty pissed off at this point because money had been spent, plans had been made, and waiting until last minute to change everything just annoys me. After a quick discussion with my husband and my son, we decided the 3 of us would still go to the event. We got there early and told the girl at the ticket booth to please give our other 2 tickets to the next couple with kids that came to the gate but didn't already have passes. Well, roughly 30 minutes later, Anna calls me screaming about how there were no tickets for them and she thought we had just give our tickets to them, David's mom and her date. I told her I will gladly bring in Crystal since she's my family, but you all said you wanted to be with just your family. She ended up spending twice what we had paid for last-minute general admission, which meant the little rides and food would cost extra, while Crystal tagged along with us and enjoyed all the perks while her mom and the rest ended up leaving early because they didn't want to pay another $20 per person for dinner. As she left, she told me that I'm a Grinch and I ruined her Christmas gift for her new mother-in-law. I'm not even remotely sorry other than the fact my granddaughter got stuck in the crossfire. And yeah guys, thank you for watching, I will see you again tomorrow.